Hey, Grand Junction. Hey, Montrose. I'm talking to Grand Junction and Montrose. It'd be great if we could get some of these people in the back to come up a little bit. Get some of our latecomers a place to sit. If any of you could come up a little bit, fill in some of these gaps, fill in some of these chairs. If not, no worries. You got to do the pledge first. Right. Hi, everybody. Welcome, Grand Junction. Welcome, Montrose. We're all over the state today. Folks, can we get you all to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance? Bob, would you lead us, please? Bob Epstein, our chairman of Colorado Senior Lobby.
Present arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order, arms.
Sir. Thank you all so much for coming. My name is Steve Grund. I'm your host today. I'm with Colorado Senior Lobby and a member of the Colorado Commission on Aging. We're so thrilled to have you here. Representative Dave Young is going to start us off. We've got so many people kind of coming and going. You got the campaign weekend. There's a lot of things going on. So we want to make sure that we give our lawmakers the opportunity to address. Sir.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for being here this morning. I'm Dave Young. I'm the state representative in Greeley. It's House District 50. I'm also a member of the Joint Budget Committee, and so in that capacity, we're making a lot of decisions about the budget and how we provide funding and support services for seniors. And so I got into this because my sister is developmentally disabled, and the reason why I'm going so early in the agenda is because I agreed to go speak with some parents and guardians of people with disabilities at 10 o'clock. I've got to get out of here pretty quickly, and so I appreciate being able to speak with you briefly about the issues. We have a budget that's in stress in the state of Colorado, and the Joint Budget Committee has 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans on it, and it takes 4 votes to pass anything. So you can already see the math doesn't always work, but in fact, we have a lot of people that are working together on the Joint Budget Committee. Those 6, including myself, really recognize the dilemma that we have. And I will tell you, we take thousands of votes on the budget, and here's the good news. 99% plus of those votes are 6-0 votes. So we are working together, we recognize the problems, and we're trying to solve them. So never hesitate to reach out to us and let us know. I think probably we know where you're coming from, but we always want to hear from you to hear the details. One of the big issues, and I've been talking with several folks about this, is the senior homestead exemption. And we're going to have to take a good, deep look at that to make sure that people who really need supports in the seniors community are getting them, and that money is being well delegated. And so be on the lookout for that conversation, and we're anxious to weigh in and hear what you have to say about that. And with that, I want to hand the mic back off again, and thank you for the time.
Thanks very much. Next, we want to introduce you to the mayor of our fine city, your host, Herb Adler. Please welcome the mayor.
First of all, thank you for coming to Westminster. We are very proud to have you all here visiting. For those who don't know, earlier this week, Covenant Village celebrated their 20th anniversary. And for some of us who are old enough to remember, we were here at the groundbreaking. But thank you all for coming in today. I know you have a number of people that are going to be speaking today. This is a very important group for us. Being one of those who are considered senior, I also want to make sure that we're taken care of. But again, Steve, thank you. Karen, thank you very much for helping put this together. We appreciate you coming to Westminster. Please enjoy your time here today. If you have the opportunity, talk to your other elected officials, let them know what's going on in your mind. Speak very freely, because I know they are all very open to what's going on in our senior care facilities and what's going on with us. Westminster is going to be breaking ground on a new senior care facility at 72nd and Sheridan very soon with the part of Jefferson County Housing Authority. It'll be about, I believe, right at 100 units. And this is a AMI setup for affordable housing. This is just one small piece of what we're trying to do for affordable housing here in Westminster, not only for our seniors, but our other citizens as well. So stay tuned. And if there are any fans of White Fence Farm, some of you may know they're way down in Centennial. Well, they're no longer just in Centennial. August the 30th, right here at 88th and Wadsworth, we will be opening White Fence Farm. So if you like fried chicken, we are ready to entertain you. Please stop by. There we go. So anyway, welcome to Westminster. Thank you for coming this morning, and thanks for helping.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one more note on Covenant Village and Karen Johnson, our host. Again, thank you so much. I want everyone to know that Covenant Village, with their 20 years, it's been a big celebration for them this month. They're going to be offering some tours, opportunities to walk around and see the facility. I hope you take advantage of that while you are here. And again, thank you, Karen Johnson. Also wanted you to know that there are bathrooms in the back, just right outside the door, should that become necessary for everybody. And we're going to be calling a break for Montrose Grand Junction. The break will be approximately at 10:45 for 15 minutes, after which we'll convene our legislative panel. Before he also hits the campaign trail, please allow me to welcome a very good friend and just an excellent man, Congressman Ed Perlmutter. Please come on up.
Steve, thank you very much for that. And he said that because I used to date his sister when I was in college, Sherry, who's sitting over here. So, thank you all very much for being here today. Obviously, we're in the heat of an election season, and there are important races up and down the ballot, starting with the presidency and everything else. And then, obviously, we're going to have lots of judges up this year and many, many initiatives. And all of you are going to have to take the time to really study this stuff. Ballots are going to drop around October 16th or October 17th. And hopefully you will have done your homework so that you can get those things right back in. That's what I would like to see. So I was asked to say a little bit what's happening at the federal level. There's been a lot of gridlock. Obviously, you've read about that. It hasn't been a fun time to serve in the Congress, although we have made strides, at least in 4 areas that apply to seniors. So the first was we reauthorized the Older Americans Act. So that's a substantial step forward. For Colorado, though, we're still penalized a little bit compared to other states, and that needs to be improved. So we'll be working on that. Second, we did what we called in the Congress the doc fix. And the doc fix was, for years and years and years, there's been a formula that says that doctors should charge this amount under Medicare. Well, they never really did, and the formula was never really followed, and it created this big accumulating debt, if you will. And doctors were always afraid that if the formula were really instituted, they'd see a huge cut in the payments that they got under Medicare. Well, instead of just continuing to have this charade and have this amount balloon, we actually fixed it, reconfigured the formula, and doctors are now much more comfortable in providing services under Medicare. So that actually was a very big step for all of us, and it made the doctors much more comfortable in providing Medicare services. So, The Affordable Care Act, when we passed the Affordable Care Act, we thought that the Medicare Trust Fund was really going to be insolvent very quickly. But with the Affordable Care Act and Medicare and everybody keeping a good eye on health care costs, generally they've been lower, and as a consequence, the Medicare Trust Fund is anticipated to now last at least 11 years longer than originally expected back when we passed the Affordable Care Act. So that's helpful. Last, and Dave Young was talking about people with disabilities. There was a real potential for the part of the Social Security Fund that deals with people with disabilities was going to become insolvent. And we changed a formula as to what portion of the Social Security Fund goes to people with disabilities and improved it at least for another 6 years. So instead of it running out of money, it now, people with disabilities who need to get their SSDI payments, we know that that'll last certainly 6 years, if not a lot longer. So there were good steps, but we haven't done some things on fraud that we should be dealing with. Seniors facing the phone call saying, the attorney's going to call you soon if you don't call me back and send me money right away, and all these kind of phony baloney phone calls that you get, hoping that somebody will make a mistake and give them a credit card or give them something that then allows them to be fleeced. So we've got a lot of work both at the state level and at the federal level to make sure that kind of fraud doesn't continue. There are many other things that we've got on the table in Congress, but this election is key to whether or not action's really taken on them. So your vote is key, your input is key. The senior lobby, and then many of the senior lobby comes and talks to me in Washington, D.C., or at our office here. And it consequently is so important for you to be a participant in this organization, to make your voices heard so that we can then represent you better. And I want to point out my seniors expert, Jerry Pfeiffer, who's in the back. Many of you know Jerry.
Jerry's in the blue shirt back there. Yep.
Yeah. And we've got a flyer that lists all of our constituent services. And Jerry is very helpful on all these kinds of issues, cutting through red tape, whether it's a Social Security issue, don't feel like you're getting your benefits properly, a Medicare issue, any senior issues. She really is an expert on this stuff and helps to cut through the red tape. So thank you all very much for being here this morning. Thank you for taking your role as citizens so seriously, to be here to learn from men like Roy Romer and women like Beth Humenick and all of your elected officials, but your willingness to take stands on issues is important for all of us to understand. Sometimes we may disagree, but not often. But you know what the issues are. You got to help us understand them. Thank you for your voices. Thank you for your participation today.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you very much. I want to recognize some of the dignitaries who've taken a piece of their schedule to come here to visit with us and share with us. Please hold your applause while I announce some of our visitors. From Senator Gardner's office, Andrew Dunkley. From Congresswoman DeGette's office, Tricia Stevens. Please welcome Representative Lane Sias, Representative Lois Landgraf, Representative Don Coram from the West Slope, and Representative Dave Young, who you just heard this morning, Senator Beth Martinez-Humenick, and Representative John Janal. Thank you. You know, Governor, when I was thinking about you, good morning. When I was thinking about you, I remembered this phrase, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you are? And when I think of Governor Roy Romer finishing up 3 terms, 1998, coming home to be and saying, you know, there's an opening at the LA schools. I could be a superintendent. And you went to become the superintendent for 5 years? 7 years. 7 years after most of us are considering pulling up a chair. Ladies and gentlemen, our 39th governor, please welcome Governor Roy Roman.
One of the things I learned early was to be sure you had good audio in a room. Can you hear me with this? Am I holding it properly? All right.
Excuse me, sir, can I ask you a favor? Would you stand up on the stage so that people in the back can see you and hear you?
You want me to stand on the stage?
Yes, sir. We're hidden by this camera.
I don't like to be separated from the people I talk
There's stairs around there, Roy.
to. Huh? I was going to be like Jay Leno and walk down the aisle. I don't give speeches very often these days. I have been thoughtful about why, and in the last 10 years of my life, I've been very much more comfortable listening, and inquiring rather than speaking. So I hesitate to come and speak. I'm here for one reason, and that's my loyalty to Ed and Bev Shackelford. I got to tell you, of all the political support I've had over the years, they have been with me not 6 years, but 60 years. They are really great, and that's why I'm here. I was in Washington, D.C. yesterday, and I cut a meeting short and flew out here simply because I wanted to be loyal to you as a group and to them as a part of your group. I'm going to be really brief. I want to talk about the importance of truth in this campaign. I'm really worried about my country. I really am worried about it. I believe so deeply in democracy, and democracy depends upon, in our form, two strong political parties, both seeking their view of the truth. And when campaigns are not totally, but almost totally, filled with lies, it not only destroys the debate, but it destroys the structure of democracy. So the main message I want to share with you is you really got to fight hard to get at truth. And that's the main message. Secondly, how do you do that? We're so inundated with the instant messages of tweets and stuff, which don't have much room for truth. But particularly television worries me. And we got a pattern of some television outlets that are just plain biased, and you know it. But the others that, let me talk about the mainstream media, CNN and MSNBC and others, have this pattern of, okay, we got to spend 50% of our time on each side, and I turn on the television, and they got a panel of 2 or 3 people, and Wolf Blitzer and others, Anderson, give time to stuff that's absolutely untrue, just totally untrue. And they think they're being fair, and I presume there is a sense of fairness, and you got to present both sides. But you got to know that there are very few screens available to you now to sort out falsehood so that information comes to you very raw. That's what worries me most about this campaign, is that we are just constantly barraged with things that are not true. And you as seniors, my 2 messages are stay engaged, and secondly, really help this campaign get over this very, very bad episode in American life in which falsehoods have become the rule of the day. It just doesn't matter. You can just say anything and get by with it. That's what worries me most about the campaign. Now, how do you get at truth? You got to really dig at it. And it's very hard. I want to give you an example. When I was a kid, I lived in Holly, Colorado in the 1940s. And I lived 10 miles from a Japanese relocation center. And you know what happened in those days. Our nation corralled very good people, put them in a concentration camp, 10,000 people up on a hillside. And I was a kid. I was in high school. And I'm embarrassed that I didn't know more. I played football. I went up and played football inside that camp. And Ed, you lived the other side of it, 10 miles on the other side. But the nation was brainwashed. You understand? World War II, we were worried about everybody who's Japanese as an enemy. It was stupid. That's how far truth can get screwed up. There's other examples in my childhood in which truth was hard to find. One was on homosexuality. I was raised in the town of 800 in eastern Colorado. And really good people didn't understand the diversity of sexual preference. They just didn't. And it took me a long while. And I was very adult. I was governor before I learned really to be honest about the truth of that matter. So I want you to know that truth is hard to come by. But I would like to say some very practical things, but be really inquiring of people who differ with you, because you got to decide what's right, you got to act on it, but 10% of what you do is probably going to be wrong, and you got to continue to be open to that wrongness and learn from other folks. That's my main message this morning. There's one other piece of that I want to share, and that is we can conduct political campaigns without attacking and destroying the personal integrity of the person we oppose. It's a cheap trick, and it's common in this country. Let me give you one. When we fought the Japanese, we called them Japs. When we fought the Vietnamese, we called them Coots. Why did we do that? We wanted to dehumanize them. You follow? We wanted to make their arguments something we didn't have to live with, listen to. I just feel very strongly about being truthful in campaigns, and secondly, being able to oppose a person and still like them as a human being, or even love them as a human being, and not try to destroy their character. It was not my experience. When I was in the legislature beginning in 1958, I worked across the aisle and fought across the aisle with Republicans who were wonderful human beings, very strong in character. And I would never reach out and try to destroy their character. I ran a major race in Colorado in which the opponent that I had a member of the family that had some very strange views and habits. But the person that I was opposing loved that person deeply. And I respected him for that love. I really did. And I called my campaign together because they were wanting to use anything we could, in terms of defeat our opponent. And I said, the first one of you that ever raises this issue about this family member, I'll not only fire, but I'll beat you. I just felt so strong that this man that I was opposing, I didn't agree with his political views, but I really appreciated the love for that family member he had who had some strange views. And I just say that because these things are very important to me now. One, trying to be truthful, and two, trying to make the democratic process work by strongly opposing those ideas that are wrong and those people who are carrying them, but not try to attack the integrity of that person. So that's my message. I want to close by illustrating my points with a very tough issue, and it's fracking. Because this is on the ballot this year, and I'm trying to be nonpartisan in this message here, but I care deeply about the environment. I'm a guy who helped create Great Outdoors Colorado, and I'm really committed to the environment. And I'm really worried about global warming. But I'm a realist about how we need energy in this country to make our country work. And we've got to move off of coal, and we've got to get into renewable. We have to do that. But that's going to be a 50-year transition. And in that transition, we need natural gas. We just need it. It's a cleaner fuel than coal. Now, how do you get it? The traditional way we've got natural gas is to drill down 5,000, 10,000 feet. And we go through layers of shale and gravel that have gas in them. Those layers may be 30 feet thick, 50 feet thick, 6 feet thick. Well, think about how inefficient it is to go 10,000 feet down and go through 4 or 5 layers and just hit a little bit of that gas zone. Now we have technology where we can go down 3,000, 5,000 feet and go horizontal on one of those veins for a mile and really be efficient in getting natural gas. So my mind goes like this. We have to have natural gas for 50 years. Let's get it in the most efficient way, and then let's ask tough questions about, is it safe to get it this way? And fracking, as you well know, is a process of putting pressure in those veins together with certain chemicals. Now we got to be very strict about what are the chemicals and how they're used. But the real problem in natural gas production is not the fracking, it's the leakage. It's the leakage at the surface. That's what really pollutes the air. And we need to get into more modern methods of drilling where we concentrate 16 wells on one pad and drill down all kinds of different ways and have all that come up in one location. Because if we do it in one location like that, we can do the following. We can pipe the product, oil and gas, out and not use trucks, which is really hard on the environment. We can particularly collect the water and recycle it if we have volume on a site. So to frack and to concentrate wells, 16 on a site, is a very good environmental method if you do it right and are careful about the regulation. That's the direction Colorado is going. Now there can be a debate about how much the local government should be involved and how much the state government should be involved. And you should engage yourself in that debate. But I wanted to close by using a tough issue and say, really dig to get the facts of it, and whatever side you come down, so be it. But work in campaigns by trying to make politics work on truth and not on falsehood. Now, I give this whole speech without mentioning Donald Trump. Aren't you proud of him? Hey, I want to close by saying one other thing, and I'm
Take your time, sir.
2 minutes. As I thought about this, I want to speak about the truth. I want to speak about not going after your opponent in a very personal way, but respect his integrity. The last thing I want to talk about is honesty. It's really, really important in our politics that we keep the ethic of being honest. Money is a problem in modern politics, as you know, because money buys time and it buys free speech. And we got to really be vigilant about that. And I want to tell a personal story, and it's a confessional one, because not all of us are right. One of my favorite people in the world is Martin Buber. He's a a Jewish philosopher. I've read a lot of his stuff, and I really love the man. When I was state treasurer, I was dealing with a lot of brokers in New York and all, trying to do business with Colorado. And one of them gave me a photograph of Martin Buber and a personal letter of Martin Buber, one of these artifacts, because he knew I liked Buber so well. That person who gave it to me was a broker who does business on Wall Street. Now, I'm sure part of the reason he gave me that picture was only was he a friend, but he wanted me to do business with him. I never did business with him. That's one good thing. But I kept the damn pictures. And I really love Mountain Grouper. I had it on my wall in my house for, 20 years or so? And finally this year, I was looking at that and saying, I should never have accepted that gift. I should not ever have accepted that gift. Even though I didn't do business with the guy who gave it to me, he wanted me to. And I was a little complicit, and it bothered me so much, even at the age of 81, that I gave it away this year. And I did it because every time I looked at it, I remembered that was a flaw in my character. I wanted it, and I should not have received it as a public official. And so I want to say that confessionally, just because we all got to be really rigorous about trying to keep truth in our campaigns and keep honesty in the system. Thanks for letting me come and share that. Go ahead.
I'm a public school teacher, and I'm very concerned about the movement towards charter schools. Would you speak, please? What can we do to protect our public schools? Maybe you are aware of what's happened in Douglas County. The assistant superintendent then went to Jefferson County, and there are major concerns in both of those school districts.
It's a really good question. Let me start out by saying I started charter schools in Colorado. I was one of the first governors in the nation to start charter schools. I believe in charter schools. I believe they can go too far, and I believe there needs to be a balance between charters and the public school system. I believe so deeply in the public school system, I don't want it to become eroded. And if you get a community overly dependent upon charters, that's a bad thing. So I sense that, but I want to tell you the other side. I was superintendent of schools in Los Angeles for 7 years, and I did some of my best work in that job. But in Watts, downtown LA, I had some schools I worked on for 7 years. I couldn't turn them around. They were just really, really bad schools. There's a charter organization in Los Angeles that I'm associated with called Green Dot. Green Dot took those schools, particularly one, Locke High School, and now it has made a revolutionary change in that school because they 92% of the kids are Hispanic in that area, and they have got some very dedicated teachers. They created their own union for the charter, which is the first charter in the country that has a union. But they particularly insisted upon high performance, and they totally dedicated themselves to those youngsters. Green Dot turned around some schools that I tried for 7 years to improve and couldn't get done with the public system. So what I'm trying to say is charters have their place. They can do a good thing. They can go too far. They can erode a public system. You should not let that happen. I don't agree with vouchers. I don't like vouchers. But I think charter schools are good if they provide some innovation for us and provide an answer for some systems that have become so inefficient they can't teach our kids. So thank you for the question. Good question.
Thank you, Governor Romer. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome, please, the President of Colorado Senior Lobby, Ed Shackelford.
Thank you, and I have to say, I wish I was hopefully that alert at that age. So, I want to welcome you on behalf of the Senior Lobby, and also welcome the people that are streaming. We tried this at the Senior Day at the Capitol, and we have the video going. It's online, and anyone can get to it through YouTube, as I understand it. And we do have two groups gathering in Montrose and in Grand Junction. And this is, you know, our charter is to reach out to the state, and we as a group cannot physically drive out there and do what we want to do, but we've come up with this as a way to do it, and hopefully, well, we expect it to build over time. I'm going to refer to my notes because I wanted to be specific in the things I cover. In your packets, those that got them, is a copy of the demographics. And I want everyone to understand that. The over 80 population doubles in 15 years, actually 112%. And there's no curve you can draw that will provide funding at the current level for people that will need that. So the challenge is really big. And I want you all to, at some point, to look at those demographics. It's one page. You need to understand what's really happening. Okay, I want to give a little brief description of the senior lobby. It was formed in 1981. And basically from that time on, we've been the sponsor of Senior Day at the Capitol. And this is the first year when we really expanded the annual meeting part of this. And we actually changed the name to the Summer Social, and then we're going to hold a small business meeting at the end. Up until this time, at least the ones I attended, we always held a big business meeting and then a little bit of a program. So we expect to continue this format and try to and expect to get a large crowd as we've got today. This has got to be 3 times the crowd that ever attended, maybe 4 times the crowd that any of them that I've attended. We're nonpartisan. By charter says we will be nonpartisan. I can't say that the discussions are always nonpartisan, but the charter is, and we make a real effort to reach out to both parties. And we also do not support, again by charter, we do not support candidates. We have never endorsed a candidate and don't expect to ever do that, certainly unless we were to change the charter. We focus primarily on state issues. And occasionally we've written a letter on Social Security. But I want to tell you a story of what you can do. And I went to a meeting being held with, and there weren't any legislators there, but all their representatives were there. And we were discussing the Older Americans Act. The Older Americans Act is the federal funding that provides Meals on Wheels and similar type programs. So it's a really important program. And the funding was based on the 2000 census. And Colorado has had one of the most rapidly growing senior populations. So the formula was really impacting Colorado in a negative way. And we said in this meeting, and as we went down the road, they just said, well, we're just a small state, we can't do anything. And I got really agitated. And this was right after there was a change of the Speaker of the House. And I just pointed out that 20 strong feeling people brought down the Speaker of the House. That small group brought down the Speaker of the House. And we have 9 legislators, and they need to get back to Washington and make something happen. And actually I was complimented by people that they did go back and they did do it. And you heard Ed talk about that action. They have helped us with that Older Americans Act. So don't think that a small group, this is what the Tea Party has taught us, if nothing else. Don't think a small group can't make a huge difference. So each of you should be calling your legislators every week. They'll probably cringe when I say that. But you just need to communicate with them. And if you get our newsletters, and you all have the newsletter in your packet, it gives you the page 6, I think, will give you steps to take for and how to communicate with legislators. At any rate, the things we do is we do a newsletter. We try to do it every month. We don't quite make it every month. We have a web page, and we're really proud of our web page, and it's done by Corinne Hall, one of our directors who's here.
Here, here, Corinne, stand up.
And,
stand up. Corinne, stand up. Let us recognize you. You do a great job. Come on.
And we do when the legislature's in session, we meet every week for 3 hours to review legislation and take positions on the legislation. You also have in your packet a list of the 65 or so pieces of legislation that we reviewed this last year, and it's in summary form. If I had the more detailed form, it would have been 110 pages. So I cut it down to 14. But you can see the bills that we watched. Ideally we meet every other week in the summer, but we're conflicting with the strategic planning group meetings, so we're not meeting quite that often. But we are working directly on the groups that are working at drug pricing. Another one is binding arbitration. You may not realize it, but almost everything you sign, credit cards, probably the agreement with this facility, almost everything, buy a car, you are locked into binding arbitration. And in some ways it's good, but there's also flaws. It's been starting to be well documented in the process of binding arbitration. And there's another one that we've personally focused on is, affordable housing is a big thing, but we are looking at the mobile homes, which is one of the solutions for affordable housing, and it's the only solution that doesn't cost the state any money. Think about that. And the problem is more of a business model than anything else. Dave Young already talked about the Homestead Act, and in conclusion, we want to really thank Covenant Village. They've just been spectacular in their cooperation and hosting of this event, and we just couldn't be more pleased with that. And just to reiterate it, there will be tours at the end of the event. And at 12 o'clock, we're having a business meeting. Anyone can stay and attend it. Basically, we'll just be electing directors at that time. But if anyone can attend, you need to be a member to vote. And one thing is, we do have anyone that responds by the end of the month, end of August, can be a member for a year for free. When I say a year, it would be actually June 30th, because we rotate all our membership on June 30th. And you all have a card in your packets. If you pull that out and mail it in and get it to us, and we'll put you on the membership rolls through the next year. That's all I have at this time. I will turn it back to Steve.
Thank you very much, Ed. Ed Shackelford, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to hear from some of our legislators right now, and first I'd like to recognize a couple of our lawmakers who have arrived. Representative Brittany Pedersen and Senator Pat Stedman. Where are you? Our Lifetime Achievement Award winner today, please stand. Senator Pat Stedman, Chair of the Joint Budget Committee. Thank you very much for coming. And we're going to give some time for the legislators to address. Some of these people have to get going. Did you want to talk, Representative Jean? Did you want to talk, Representative Pedersen?
Yeah, I think she said she wants to go first, right?
I can just say.
Well, you'll be here.
Oh, okay. Well, sure.
They'll be here for the award presentation.
Oh, they're here for the award presentation too? Okay, come on up.
Oh, that's so nice.
What'd you do with your mic?
Thank you.
Quite welcome.
Good morning, everybody. I feel very lucky to go up first. I have a canvas launching in my district in 20 minutes, so thank you. My name is Brittany Pedersen. I represent House District 28 in Lakewood. It's from 6th Avenue, just south of Hamden and Garrison to Sheridan. Do I have anybody here from House District 28? Well, one of my favorite volunteers and friends, so I already know you're supporting me, but I'm still happy to be here. Well, in terms of senior issues, I can really attribute the success in my life to the seniors that were in my life that believed in me and really paved the way. I was a high-risk youth, and it was the people and the mentors in my life that I became the first in my family to graduate from high school and college. My grandma was somebody who was incredibly important to me, always asked me where I was going to go to school, and so watching her and the struggles that she went through, senior issues are front and center for me. I also live in one of the most senior districts in the state. I didn't realize it when I was buying my house until I was knocking on doors. So I am definitely one of the youngest in my neighborhood for the last 11 years when I bought my house there. But I'm the chair of the House Education Committee. I'm so grateful that in my district, regardless of if they have kids in school still, seniors really still support funding for our schools, and education issues are still incredibly important to them as well. So I've been, chairing the House Education Committee has been difficult, but one of the most rewarding experiences that I've had. An issue that I'm also passionate about outside of education is retirement security. Things are changing significantly for my generation. For those that are retiring now or close to retiring, they came mostly from an age where, retirement security options were offered at work. We have actually seen a drastic change in this. So my generation is facing a much different future, I think, in terms of retirement security and making sure you can live independently. So we've been working on a state solution to that. It's been difficult, as always, when you're taking on good issues for people in Colorado, but it's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. I want to make sure that we have retirement options as well if it's not being offered at work. So I carried that bill last year. We're working on a similar idea, but trying to really work with our bankers to ensure that we can get this through together and that it's going to work for our business community and also for our citizens. But I guess I could sit up here and talk for longer, but I'm happy to. Are we answering questions here?
No, we're moving on.
Oh, great. My favorite kind. Just walk in, say hi. And
Yeah.
Well, I'm so grateful for the senior lobby. They really help us in putting the priorities for our seniors front and center in Colorado, ensuring that we are increasing funding for senior services. My mom relies on having food delivered to her house, making sure that you have access to medical care. So watching my parents also age has to watch the services that are provided. I understand how essential they are. So thank you to the senior lobby for your work at the Capitol and for this event today and letting me go first. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Who else from the State House?
Thank you very much for having this program, and thank you to the senior lobby. I don't want to take up much time. I know you're on a schedule, and I know my other colleagues haven't had a chance to speak, and I do believe that some of us that are here are on a panel, and so we will have that opportunity. But my name is Joanne Janal. I came down from Fort Collins. I represent House District 52, which is the eastern half of Fort Collins. I work very, very hard for senior issues and healthcare issues that affect all of us, but in a lot of respects, a lot of the seniors and the population of seniors that we're dealing with today. So I'm going to keep it short and respectful, and thank you for letting me be a part of your program this morning. Thanks.
Thank you. Do you want to, anyone else state? Sure.
Hi, my name is Lang Sias. I'm the state representative from House District 27, which is Arvada, roughly, the boundaries can be a little jagged, but roughly west of Wadsworth, south of 128, north of I-70, and we go a little bit out to the other side of Route 93. So there are undoubtedly folks, I know at least one over there, Karen, is from my district, so thanks very much for the chance to be here. We have both, I'm a Republican, but we have both Republicans and Democrats in this room, and I think that's very appropriate given that these issues, shouldn't be, and for the most part are not partisan issues. One of my proudest achievements from this last year was to be able to work with a number of legislators on both sides, including Lois Landgraf, who's sitting down there, but primarily with Dave Young, who was here earlier. We're at different parties. We vote differently on many issues. We may get in arguments, but we do it respectfully, as Governor Romer mentioned, and we worked together on a bill that I know the senior lobby supported, which was related to community-centered boards, or CCBs, and we had a very, very difficult and intractable problem, and we were really trying to do three things. One was to make sure that the IDD community, the folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities, which is truly what I would call a but for the grace of God community, and some seniors, it is a subset, of course, of the senior population, but to make sure that those folks were being properly taken care of under the law. Two was to make sure that the taxpayer dollars, and we want to be good stewards of those, were being spent wisely and well and efficiently, because we're talking about tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars. And then finally, we wanted to make sure that we did it in a way that did not demonize or vilify the many good people who were working in that world and doing good work, and sort of wrap them up in the criticism that had fallen on some folks who did things very poorly. And it was a lot of work that went into that, but one of the most gratifying moments was when we had a group, a sit down between many of the administrators of the CCBs and their lobbyists, and then we had the families, the folks who were responsible for the people who had the conditions and were supposed to be getting care. Very difficult discussion, but after it, the folks and the families came up to us and said, thank you to Dave and me and the others there, and said, we've never had a conversation like that before. And that will remain one of the most gratifying moments. And out of that came some legislation, without going into detail here, I think really, truly will benefit that community. And so I look forward to working with you all and across the aisle on some other issues that we can reach agreement on. I do want to mention one thing, because it was raised earlier and I've been involved in it, and that is the issue of charter schools. And I don't want to go very far into that. Can be a complicated subject, but language is important, and it is very important to understand that charter schools are in fact public schools, and charter school students are in fact public school students. The legislation I worked on this year was primarily with Representative Angela Williams, probably soon to be a senator, African-American Democrat from Denver, who I think believed very passionately that freedom and choice and opportunity in education is a critical civil rights issue going forward. And one of the schools that she's most proud of in her district is Denver School of Science and Technology, which I noticed was just recently written up in Newsweek for being one of the top 10 high schools in the country, and has actually reversed the achievement gap for minority students. So just bear that in mind. Charter schools are public schools. Charter school students are public school students. Thank you all very much. Sorry to take up more time than you want.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Senator Beth Martinez-Shumenick, and I represent Senate District 24, which is almost all of the city of Thornton, all of the city of Northland, and about a third of the city of Westminster. So the boundary comes right up to Sheridan, actually. So on the east side of Sheridan, goes down to 120th. The boundaries are really kind of difficult for some people to know which district they live in. But then my district goes down to 88th and back across the highway. And it goes up to 144th, up to Highway 7. It's pretty large districts some of us have. And then some folks in the legislature, as you know, have many, many counties that they represent, especially on the Western Slope and Eastern Plains. Senior issues have been really important to me. My grandmother lived to be 104 and a half years old. And I think part of the reason that she did was because she lived with family. And not everybody has that opportunity. So what I am still working on and will continue to work on is to make sure that our living facilities that are available for our seniors are safe and good places to be. And that they're the homes that you want to have, and that you know that you're being well cared for. Because the population here in Colorado is going to explode here in the next few years. We saw 100,000 people moving into Denver. We've got a lot of seniors moving in here from across the country, both sides of the country, because of our weather and just because we're a great state to live in, aren't we? Yeah. I'm a fourth-generation Coloradoan, and we have the best state in the world, I think. One of the things that I sponsored with Representative Primavera was competency for assisted living administrators. What that did, it didn't get out of committee, but what it did was it started the conversation about what changes might need to be reviewed, modified, or even made with the rules and regulations with the department who oversees facilities. Because I do want seniors to have quality of life. I do want you all to be able to live the lives that you want to until we're no longer here. There's a couple things that we know that happen with human beings and all the species on the earth is that we are born and eventually we will be leaving the earth. But until that time, we have the responsibility, I think, to make sure that the people that we have grown up with, that are in our families, that we know and love, and the people that we don't know, that might not have anybody, have the best quality of life and really enjoy where they are and where they're living. So I will continue to work on senior issues. When I was on municipal government, I actually served on the Advisory Committee on Aging with Dr. Cog, Denver Regional Council of Governments, and was very active in the discussions there, and I know many of you have participated in those as well. What I would like to say is that when there are senior issues, you've got a great lobby team, but if any of you can and want to come down to the Capitol, it's very important to hear directly from you at the committee hearings. And I think because we are having more people participate, another senator and I lost our office space, and it's being incorporated into one of the committee rooms on the 3rd level. So I look at that as a positive because that means more people are coming and participating and being actively engaged with the legislators, because we need to hear from you. We need to see you and we need to hear from you. That makes a difference in my mind.
And we're actually going to address that a little bit later, how to contact your legislator and how to do it so that it puts you at ease. Thank you so much.
Yes, I just wanted to say, we're people just like you are. We're not scary, and I can't speak for anyone but myself. I don't do that. But my door is always open. I may not be in the office. You might want to call first and schedule an appointment, but feel free to contact me. And one of the things I'm very proud of is that all of my bills have been bipartisan bills. And there have been a lot of senior issues that I've been involved with. And one of the big ones that was important to me this year was to allow Medicaid recipients who have a continuum of care medication to be able to get that medication through the mail. There wasn't equity there, and that did not resonate very well with myself and Representative Primavera. So we were fortunate we got that passed so that it would benefit everyone. So thank you for being here today and allowing us to be here.
Thank you so much. Ready? We're going to talk about some results from a survey that we had done, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about contacting your legislator. We're going to take a break at about 10 of 11, it's looking like, so that's in about 20 minutes. I want to make sure that also, you know, the world is this huge place. We understand how technology has made it a smaller place, and we understand that there's not a lot of control that we can have over our entitlement programs, if you want to call them that, the federal programs. It's where we are here in the state. It's where we are here at the county level. It's where we are here at the city level, and it's where you are at the personal level, the relationship level. Technology is driving relationships, and it's the relationships where you're going to be seeing that change. That's what we want you to do. If you can buddy up with anyone from Colorado Senior Lobby, we'll help teach you how to lobby, we'll help teach you how to develop those relationships. We want you to go ahead, put your toe in the water, and get involved. And if it's not with Senior Lobby, if it's with AARP, if it's with volunteerism on any level, please do so. Thanks. Ed Shackelford on the survey.
You all should have you will have in your packets, we copied the survey. It's about 14 pages. And I want to make some comments on it and a little bit on the results of what came out of that. And I want you to know, and there's nothing I'm going to say that's any different than is in the the text of the information, but it's not a scientific survey. We just put it on our webpage and talked to a lot of people and asked them to fill out the survey. And we had 213 responses. And we think it's mostly middle class. We don't think we reached a lot of the really poor people. And it's 84% white.
We're going to dim these lights a little bit, Ed, make it a little bit easier.
What was that?
We're dimming the lights because we can't see your presentation.
Okay, got you. It's 84% white, 5% African American, 4% Hispanic, 3% multiple race, and 1% African or Asian Pacific and Islanders. So I might interrupt here to make, we have tried since I've been involved, which has been 5 years, to get more Hispanics and more African Americans on our board of directors. And we really would appreciate anyone that could help us achieve that goal. It's just not that easy to find minorities to want to participate in all these activities like this. But these are active people. 97% vote. 75% have contacted either legislators or local officials in the last year. Basically what we do is 2 different issues. This one is specific issues ranked in healthcare costs, economic security, housing, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, healthcare access, long-term care, prescription costs, transportation, chronic health conditions, elder abuse, technology, and the death with dignity. And which, by the way, is going to be on the ballot this year. We look at there's 2 items basically. There's the issues item, and then they had a chance to evaluate their legislators and the governor. And so the next one, which I'll want to skip right, I just really want you to know these are in there. You can get the packets and see them too. Is and we broke it down by the whites and the minorities, and a little bit of differences, but not what we consider particularly significant. Then is the grade, are elected officials concerned with issues facing seniors? A very small percentage give them an A. A reasonable number give them a B. A bigger give them a C, D, and a couple of Fs. And then here is the kind of a similar one, rating them by the Congress, the governor, and the legislature. And so then we would get to the technology. And this is kind of why we figured 98% have emails, access to email. Although I do know that people that don't directly have access frequently consider themselves having access through their children. They will give an email address of their children who will then relay it on to them. So we can't differentiate between the 2. But we think that they're pretty tech, this group certainly is pretty tech savvy, and we understand that the seniors are getting to be overall more tech savvy. I want to go over the primary issues. The issues are affordable housing, which has become a really big issue. We're concerned with the seniors that are being forced out. They will take these apartment buildings and redevelop them and upgrade them and give the seniors just days to move out. This is what I mentioned earlier. We picked on mobile homes for our interest in pursuing this. There's not as much interest in mobile homes. The hard buildings being built, there's a lot of developers, a lot of groups that are worried with that and trying to figure it, municipalities and so forth, but not much attention is being given to the mobile homes. And Senator Kafalas, who should be here about 11, has been the leader in that. The financial security, we talked about the Older Colorado's Fund and the Older Americans Fund, which does the Meals on Wheels. It's the kind of programs that can keep you in the homes and keep you functional. Healthcare costs, the driving cost in healthcare right now are drug prices. And I don't know how much you're watching this, but I do notice that it's been mentioned at the presidential level, and people are really starting to take notice of this. The costs have gone up, and it's old medicine. The insulin has gone up by dramatically. And one that gets a lot of notoriety, EpiPens. You used to buy them now they went up by like several $100s. At any rate, that's something, and there was consideration of legislation at this time on that. The elephant in the room is Alzheimer's. Businessweek says it alone can bankrupt the country. And there is a lot of work being done here, and the CU at Anschutz is one of the leaders in doing research in Alzheimer's. And transportation, which is interesting. I still think self-driving cars is going to solve the transportation problem for seniors. So, and they tell me it's quicker than we think. So, and this kind of breaks it down by age category, and I don't particularly expect you to see it. I just kind of wanted to familiar with what's in the packet so you can see the results of what's going on. And these are one of the things that people asked, and I would be interested, is we had a lot of interest in having workshops, and I'm curious if people would respond if we held workshops on some of these subjects. So if anyone would attend a workshop if we held them, would you raise your hand? A few, not too many. At any rate, that's something we will look at. We have held them in the past. We've held them in working with legislators. And for those of you who want to testify and are a little intimidated, which the first time you walk in the Capitol, it is intimidating, we will either help you, we will go with you if you would like, or discuss it in advance. That's a service we provide to anyone that wants to communicate with our legislators or go to a committee hearing. So those are all the slides I had. So at any rate, on the evaluation of the officials, which was not all they were, we consider that the failure of the senior community, not of the legislators.
That's correct.
We think that we need to do much better job of making the impact of the senior community more focused. It is the big budget issue. When you look 10, 15 years out, the impact of seniors is the big budget issue. It should be right at the top of the list, and we have not. The senior lobby is working to do a better job, and other organizations can do a better job. So all we need to do is get it to the attention of the legislators more forcefully than we've accomplished it. At any rate, you do have that in your packets, and you can read it and see what the work we've done on it. So if anyone had a question, I'd take a question, but otherwise I will turn it over to Seth.
Seth Greiner, board member of Colorado Senior Lobby. I'd like to be able to say a little bit who's going to be talking about contacting your legislator, but I want to emphasize to everybody, from myself personally, how important it is that Seth is on the board of Colorado Senior Lobby, because when we talk about seniors today and we talk about the kind of benefits of where we are in terms of our future, what's happening to us, how would you like to be a Generation X or a millennial? We need to set the table for these generations. We need to set the table for them to fight this battle. We are the healthiest and wealthiest generation in the history of mankind. I think we need to be a little careful about how we're asking for things. But if we have the millennials, if we have the Gen Xers, for us to set the table, for them to say, okay, now look, what about where we are? Now we've got at least an opportunity for the next 25, 30 years for them to set the table. Let me turn it over to Seth Greiner, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. So my name is Seth Greiner, and I'm on the board of directors of Colorado Senior Lobby. I've been a director for 1 year, and I am currently working for Disability Law Colorado under the Ombudsman program. I have a master's degree in political science from Colorado State University, and I was a legislative aide in the 2016 session for Representative Max Tyler, House District 23, which is part of Lakewood. And the 2015 session, I worked as a public policy advocate for the Volunteers of America. So I've got 2 sessions under the State House. What I'm going to talk to you today real briefly are 3 main ways that you can contact your legislator. Now, these are pretty basic. You can phone them, you can send them a letter or an email, or you can drop in and visit the office down at the Capitol. Phoning the elected representative is the easiest way. You can do this from the comfort of your own home. You can do it from anywhere. And the advantages are is that it's instantaneous. It's immediate. You will talk to somebody, you'll leave a message, you'll get feedback very quickly. The drawbacks are, though, you might only talk to what my position was, which was the legislative aide, which is good. We write down everything, we pass on messages. Think of a legislative aide as all of the excitement of an executive secretary with none of the pay. It's a great job. It actually is. Now, on the telephone, if you leave a message, you want to be brief and to the point. Remember, these legislators, they only have the session for 5 months out of the year. So that's 5 months to get all the business of government done, which means their time is very valuable. So we like to keep things short and sweet. An easy telephone script is, hello, my name is. Why do we give contact information? We give contact information so that we know if you live in the district, if you're outside of the district, so you can get different perspectives on what is happening in Colorado and what are the different priorities around the state. Telephone, easiest way. The next one is writing a letter. Now, Karen, one of our board members, has all of these slides in handout form that are going to be at the back of the room if anybody wants these when they're leaving. Writing a letter or an email, the easiest way is to follow a set format. Remember, you're writing somebody in a position of respect, so you want to be formal with your letter or with your email. Informal is okay, but formal will get your point across better. So you can have an easy format. You have a couple of sentences of why. Why are you writing? And you definitely want to do a personal story. How does this affect you? How does this issue affect your parents, your children, your grandchildren? How does this issue affect your community? You can personalize why this bill, why this movement, why this topic is personally affecting you. It's much more clear to the legislator why you're calling. Lastly, we're going to talk about dropping by the office. Dropping by the office can be either the most or the least effective depending on how you conduct yourself. First point of contact would be the legislative aide. When you go into anybody's office, there's probably a legislative aide sitting there. What you don't want to do is ignore that person and walk right by them. They're the gatekeeper. They're going to tell you if the legislator is busy at that certain time, if it's a good time to talk, if you need to come back, or if they're free. You can call and make an appointment to speak to a legislator if you really want to sit down with them and have some substantive things you want to discuss. If you're just voicing an opinion on something very quickly, a telephone call will suffice. But an in-person visit or making an appointment is going to be a way that you can sit down with them and really start to delve into your issue. Always be polite, always be friendly, obviously never be combative, never threaten political repercussions. You'd be surprised at how often this happens if people don't get their way. Well, I'm going to tell everybody that you're a horrible person. Let's be civil in our politics. We can have discourse and we can disagree, but being polite and being civil is very important. Remember, cooperation and compromise. That's how we get good public policy. Lastly, we have the Legislative Pink Book, which is, I wonder why it's called the Pink Book. This is the directory. It has all of the legislators' emails, telephones, their office location. You can pick this up at the Capitol, at other state offices. It's also available online. Some of the resources that are important are the General Assembly's homepage or legislators on social media. They all have social media nowadays. They all have Twitter, they all have Facebook, they all use it. And lastly, most of the legislators also have a personal web page. So these are very important ways and very good ways to contact your legislators. And I believe that's all.
All right, thank you, Seth Grinder.
Thank
Any
you.
questions? Any questions? Okay, we are at break time. We will reconvene at about 11 o'clock. We've got some awards to pass out. We've got a legislative panel. We're going to have a little interactive session there, so please come back. Montrose, Grand Junction, take a break. Thank you.